Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Cantina Corner podcast. I am your host, Adam, here with my lovely co hosts, Cody and Nick. How are you guys doing?
Cheer.
We got Nick. What are you drinking on, Nick?
Poopsie.
Poopsie.
Oopsie.
A little bit of poopsie.
Oh, Jack and Diane.
No, I had a rough weekend with alcohol, so I'm taking my
It's been a
couple
long
of
week.
days off.
Yeah, was it a long
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, it's been a long fucking week.
As I'm sitting here drinking in my refillable container here some tea, some nice iced tea. So good, protecting the planet, refillable containers. But we're going to get into something new that we haven't talked about ever.
Ooh. Tell me more.
Ooh.
Not once.
But wait, there's more. We're going to get into some cool stuff. But before we do that, as always, that I have been trying to be better at, we're going to get into some promotional stuff here for the show. I want to thank everyone for supporting us on the show. As always, thank you for getting into all of our social medias, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, all that's good stuff, Facebook. As you know, most of our videos have been going up on YouTube. If you haven't heard in the previous episodes that we've been letting you know, we've been having some issues with loading the videos on Facebook, which is why we've got the links on Facebook going to YouTube. So if you can, I would really appreciate if you can subscribe to those channels on YouTube, the one channel that we have right now, as well as hitting the bell notification if you want to get all of the updates on the episodes as they go live so that make sure you don't miss them. If not, always go to the Facebook page and hit those links so that you can see them. Leave a like, comment, fucking let us know what you think about them. Depending on the topic, whatever, negative or positive, we love that. And we actually have something that I've prefaced in the other videos that I want to say. We are excited to announce that we are partnered with Rep Sports, who is the proud owner of Raise Energy, a great fucking delicious energy drink that we love. And they do some awesome supplements too. They do pre-workout, whey protein, sleep aids, you name it. They fucking got it. They got some cool merch. I'm probably going to talk to these guys about it, where we might be doing some Raise giveaway merch or some products that we can. But if you want to buy from them and you go to our links that we're going to be sharing on that page on Facebook, as well as other social medias, we will be doing our Cantina Corner code that you can use at discount. That's going to give you discounts when you purchase, as well as give us some promotional factor that we can give back into the show. So all proceeds that we get are going to go back into the show, help us make this show better. And it's going to make your viewership even better. The entertainment value, it'll also help me not fuck up stuff.
We hope.
We hope.
Doubtful.
We don't know if we have enough money to fix that, but we're gonna try.
It's a tall order. It's a tall order, but if you want to fix my mental condition, please help and support the show. And they've got great products, so it'll help you as well. But we are going to be getting into something different that we haven't talked about, theoretical history. We're going to be getting into a specific topic here about the Ark of the Covenant, and dun dun dun. And we are going to be talking some theoretical. So it's not fact, it's not fiction, it's theoretical. But I'm going to be giving this to kick off with Cody, as he is the harbinger of this info. As
harbinger? No. I just think it's interesting. I just like talking about it.
No, yeah, it is.
Harbinger of anything.
But I know that you're very interested in it, so I was going to give you the honors of kicking this off, so we can have a nice discussion about some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been really getting into Grant Hancock and a lot of his books and his theories on ancient civilizations and all that stuff, and I came across a couple things on his theories of the Ark of the Covenant actually being in Ethiopia.
Before we do get further, for those that don't know, Graham Hancock, great guy to check out with his shit.
Great guy.
Very, very good.
I'm telling you right now, my goal for this podcast is to have him as an interview. That is my goal.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be dope.
He's so fucking dope. But yeah, he's got this theory. He did a lot of this research, and he's one of those people that, like, when he does research and stuff, he actually goes to these places.
Yeah.
And physically goes there to see what's going on, to study, to learn from the people who live there.
People, what they're saying, their local legends. He tries to get it from their mouths specifically. So it's
and he pretty much has landed on, he thinks it's in Ethiopia, being hidden away by monks who, I believe he said they turned monks, they're former Christians, and in the city of Axum. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Axum.
Yeah, in this, and they're in this temple, and they have certain, I forget what they call them, but they're like certain monks. I think they get like 4 of them, and they literally cannot leave this place. They literally are on guarding something inside this place at all times. They literally don't leave, and it does remind me of the 3 Knights Templar. You get kind of that, which we'll talk about Spielberg a little later, but Indiana Jones, when they have the one Knight Templar who stays with the Holy Grail. You know what I'm talking about, Adam? I'm talking to you, Adam. Give me some fucking vocal here. Don't just sit.
So I was waiting for you to finish that thought. Yeah, I remember in the movie when he was sitting there and he was guarding the Holy Grail
Yeah.
or all the chalices that they had there, and he had to give them the test in order to figure out if they were going to be right to choose the right one and all that. So yeah, it was like that like biblical sense of like I'm guarding this, almost like if you want to say it from a Marvel standpoint with the Red Skull guarding one of, the items that
Infinity
they were going.
Stones, yeah.
Yeah, the Infinity Stone, he's just there until he doesn't need to be.
Yeah. It reminded me of that when he was talking about the monks and stuff, and they literally don't come outside at all, which is it would be a crazy life, man. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice your life for?
Yeah.
Like, to never see the sun really outside or feel that.
And that type of conviction,
Yeah.
it's almost like there's got to be something there, like that's just that. Yeah, like to be willing to do that is insane.
Yeah.
It's
especially nowadays, man. It is insane.
The only real quick, the only close thing that I can say that we have in real society that's close to that is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they are outside, but like they are dedicated to no matter rain, snow, sleet, hail, sunshine, doesn't matter. They walk that line and they protect that no matter what. So that's the closest thing that we have that you can see visually today that would relate to something like that.
When I went to DC in the fall of 2019, we went and watched that, and we got there right when they were doing the changing of the guard on that shit. That shit is insane. And you could see the path that they just walked the whole time, the wear on it and everything, and that is insane too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously that's a very important symbolistic thing for this country and our military. So it's got to be something of massive significance to be able to have 4 guys commit to that for the rest of their life. So I think that's some pretty strong evidence. I mean, obviously he has, the tale that it was in the Temple of Solomon way back when, and then what was that asshole's name that took over?
From Solomon, when they destroy his temple and they ended up sacking it and taking all the stuff out of it? Because didn't he? If I remember right, didn't Solomon have more than just the Ark of the Covenant in his temple? He had a couple different like biblical or like
yeah, that's what they built the
like,
temple for, was to house these symbols, I guess symbols or artifacts.
Yeah.
It's weird because they weren't really artifacts then. They were like the real deal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's weird to think about.
It really is.
But yeah, like, and they took him out of the city before that whole thing happened. And I think Graham actually found like a city just outside of Israel where they built a temple, and it's the only temple outside of Israel that it's really unique, and there's like literally no explanation on why it was built there. And there's a lot of theories that that's where they took the ark at that time. They built it for that because it needed to be in a temple and memorialized like that. And then they just kept moving until they landed in Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is very fucking mountainy and very hidden place as it is. So
yeah, and it was one of the significance too of Ethiopia. It was one of the very first civilizations or cities or however you want to call it that actually went full on Christian. That converted to that religion fully, because at the time Christianity was just a little offshoot thing. It wasn't a huge thing, and they were one of the first places that really embraced it and brought it. And he talks about that the old Christian traditions there that they still practice to this day, that even the people living there still practice to this day. I mean, which, like we were just saying, the people that are chosen to guard that, it's like and I can only imagine it's so much different than the Christianity we know in America and what we're at least taught and all that. It's got to be insane, because you're talking the very roots almost of Christianity there.
Yeah, he was saying they won't even recognize a church if they don't have some sort of depiction of the Ark of the Covenant. Like you do
Mm.
not get recognized as a church, which is crazy. Like I know the one church we used to go to, there was a depiction of the Ark, but I don't frequent many churches, so I don't know if like that's like a normal thing or especially like Catholic. We weren't Catholic, so I don't know if it's different there. I know religions get so flaky and shit.
I wish I could say because I did go to Catholic school for 3 years and I was forced to go to mass every Friday with them, but I can't even say that I really remember because I got at the time. This is
Yeah.
sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like, only now looking back, it's like it's interesting enough. It's like, damn, I wish I kind of would have paid a little bit more attention just to kind of like, kind of suck up what they were doing. Not really buy what they were selling, but just kind of like, just to kind of know a little bit more about it.
Yeah. Which I think is something to point out. Like most people probably don't know that the Ark predates like Christianity. Like
Hmm.
it's from the
Oh yeah.
Hebrews. You know, the Hebrews
Yeah.
supposedly built it for it to house the Ten Commandments and stuff. So
Shit, it fed them in their was it 40 years in the desert? It
yeah.
literally fed them. They had no food, nothing. It supposedly fed them the whole time, whatever the manna or some shit that it
Yeah.
produced for them while they're wandering around in the desert.
And then they said what it's got like special powers and shit. It would like split the sea and fucking what was that city that they crumbled or whatever during that battle?
Oh
Can't
shit.
even
I know what you're
remember.
talking about. I do not know the name of the city though.
It was like a dude's name. It was like Joseph. Uh,
Oh fuck.
I know it, but I can't think of it right now.
No, it's like right there in the tip of my tongue too.
I'm
Hold
gonna be honest. I don't even have a clue.
on. Adam's just like, holy shit, what are these guys talking about?
I, I
um,
I have not a clue. I mean, I've been tracking most of this, but that I don't even know.
but I know it's like supposedly they walk around the battle or whatever, and like the seventh day they walk around the walls fall down.
Jericho?
Jericho, that's what it is. The walls of Jericho, dude. How do we
Yeah,
forget about that, dude?
that's when you said walls. I was like, oh, that's it. Yep.
Now I know because now that just hit me like a fucking brick wall. No pun intended.
What did you think of? Did you think of Chris Jericho or did you think of Iron Man? Where he's like, How's Jericho? The missile. What'd you think
No,
of?
I was thinking of the walls of Jericho.
Yeah,
The
That's what
original city,
yeah.
the original city I was thinking of was like the city that they had back in like the Christianity biblical times, which was like the city of sin or whatever it was. But I don't think it
Sodom
started
and
with.
Gomorrah.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was thinking of, like in my head, but I couldn't think of the name.
yeah. The walls of Jericho. How do we fucking forget that? Anyways,
It was right there.
yeah, it's
There.
right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's supposedly it has some special abilities. It's like proof that God exists or whatever. I guess you could say.
Could you imagine if that were to be true and that was revealed to the world? How fucking how ridiculous that would be.
Yeah, I don't think people would be able to wrap their minds around it. Like even
Oh,
if like truth was brought out about that. Like you're talking about it having special powers, and I know that documentary you'd sent me that you were trying to get me up to speed on it. And when they were talking about these people that were guarding it and how they were saying that like these people went blind.
Yeah.
You know, that they like got smoky eyes and went blind by guarding it. And then like a few years after they were done, like 2, 3 years after they had died, and they were saying, oh, because it was like engulfed in flames. It was like staring at fire. And then they were talking about how it could be like from radiation and all these different things. And it was crazy. Like if that's true, like that type of power would be able to do something like that.
mhm.
Like what truth is there to that?
Not to mention that would shake some of these big established places like hold on the truth, like namely the Vatican and shit
Vatican.
like that. Some big time religions would shake to their core if something like that were to come out.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they got kind of a vested interest in like having this just stay hidden.
Oh yeah, dude.
Honestly, I doubt that they really want to like dig too deep to really get that found. Because I mean, let's be real. When the Vatican took over after the Dark Ages, they fucking took all the known knowledge at that time of humans and just fucking tucked it right away in their basement.
Yeah, which one thing I was thinking of when they were talking about like the power and like the radiation possibly, or like the fire and why these guys go blind, and then every single one of them die 2 to 3 years after. You know, the anti-religion like skepticism person that I am was like, is that really true, or are these people to preserve that story like killing off of these people secretively? to maintain that like rhetoric that this is what really happens. You know what I mean? Because when
Could
you
be
think of
that
a
as
place
well.
like Ethiopia, like being in Africa, you could think of like realistically them getting away with something like that because of all the shit that goes on in Africa that does today, that they can get away with that with no questions asked or anything, because the world really doesn't focus on something like this when it comes to the Ark of the Covenant or anything like that, like so steeped in religion, like deep. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No, yeah, that's a good point. Um, it is. There's so many different ways you can think of it. Like, because there's, I forget. I forget what they were actually set out to look for, but like the Knights Templar when they went on their raid, like in the Dark Ages and stuff, it said like that they were searching for something. All like, I guess you would say witness accounts back then.
Well, yeah, the original purpose was just to help people on their pilgrimage from, wherever in Europe to the holy city of Jerusalem.
Right.
And then that's when they ended up, yeah, turning into like the protectors of this stuff in a sense.
Yeah, and it's said that they went out in search for things, and one day they just stopped. For some reason, they just all stopped doing searching for
Well,
stuff.
what was that big I forget which pope it was at the time that brought all those charges against the Knights Templar and like basically excommunicated them. And I know one of the charges was like worshiping the head of Satan or something like that.
Yeah,
And among other things, but it was just, yeah, is the church just, and again, going back to like, the church having a vested interest in like this knowledge kind of just staying hidden in a way, nothing to really challenge their power.
yeah. I just like Adam, like you're a religious. You're not like super religious or anything like that. You, like you said, you're speculative of all that shit. But it's like it's weird how much of that shit. Like I called Nicholas the other day when we were talking about this. Like how much our daily lives are based off of what we're told in religion, whether you follow it or not. Like, I mean, the year 2021 is based off of a religion. Like, it's just weird how it's just like accepted, especially like if, oh, I'm an atheist, but I bet you every time you write the date, you write what year it is.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
don't think about it. It's like you're programmed into it. And I've always thought it's weird, like, because obviously, me, I'm a skeptic on pretty much everything, but I'm pretty open to listening to everything.
Yeah.
And it always blew my mind that, like, a book that was written how fucking long ago is still so prevalent in our world today.
By a normal person, no less.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like a group of people.
Yeah.
And it's been, like, translated from different languages and stuff countless times.
Yep.
And almost rewrote with the whole Constantine shit and all that. But still, like, it's still just the Holy Bible. Like, people just take it as complete gospel of what I would just love to go back in time. Like, if you could go back in time anywhere, where would you go? Like, what would you pick? What is something like you have to see?
Just because we're kind of talking about this conversation, you just kind of brought it up. I wouldn't mind sitting in on one of those different councils where they got together and discussed what they wanted the Bible to look like and read, where they actually went through and they're like, no, let's not put this book in there. Let's put the book of Luke in there, or the book of John. And they decided like, oh, we're not going to put this one in there or this one. We'll put this one in there, and then decided the order and everything. Just in terms of this conversation, I wouldn't mind sitting in on a couple of those like council meetings
Yeah,
between the
I
church and all
wouldn't
that, and
either.
just see how they chop that shit up, and we're like, yep, this is what we're gonna package and sell to the public. Like, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's interesting about that too is, I mean, you have modern day religions, not to get like too crazy about it, but stuff like Scientology. Like Scientology has been proven to be just written just because, but people believe that shit like it's religion, you
People
know?
believe anything, dude.
But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And it's like, how can you say, like, later on, let's say, hundreds of years from now, Scientology is looked at what Christianity is looked at now from like the past. And like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference on that? It was written by a normal person about said person and all this different stuff. And, and that's why it always comes down to, well, you have to have faith. It's like, well, okay, faith in what? Faith, like, Ark of the Covenant could be complete fucking false. It could mean nothing, you know? And one thing when I was watching that and thinking about that as we were getting ready for this discussion, I'm like, if it's all true, and yes, they're guarding it and all that stuff, like, and you believe this, like, why wouldn't you want to bring that out and physically show it and like prove it so that it could just be done and over with, and then everyone would know that that's like what it is, that's true, like this is what you need to believe in because of this said proof. Why is it always faith? Why can't we see evidence? Why is it always guarded and mysterious, stuff? Or why is it like, oh, it was here but then it was ransacked and then moved to here and all this different stuff? It's like, it was crazy for me to think that religion happened in the Middle East, which is a lot of what people don't remember, religion originated from there. And then how did the Ark of the Covenant get from all the way over there to fucking Africa? You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. And how has it not been like tried to be stolen back from there? And how have we not had a war between that with all the religious wars that have been written about fighting over different things? Why have they not gone to try to reclaim that if they know that that's where it might be? And it just like, it's this so much of like he said, she said when it comes to this shit. It's crazy.
That's fair, yeah. That again makes me think more like they got a vested interest in some of the stuff staying hidden because it would directly challenge their narrative. Because the church is the word of God; they're the interpreters of it, and what they say is what God wanted and all that. It just keeps making me think they got a vested interest in like just some of this stuff staying hidden, so they can still be that arbiter of truth and all that.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree that that's what the case is. I
Yeah.
mean, look at I don't know if you guys remember, like when the Da Vinci Code came out, the book, not the movie, but the book, the Vatican was so against that book. I mean, they were burning that book over there, and all it was a book. I don't even think it was a theory. I think the guy just wrote it as just a book. I don't really know if he had
He
any
he probably looked at
interest in
some of
it.
this stuff like we've looked at and is like, I can maybe make a book out of this. Just something interesting
Right.
for people to read,
Yeah,
you know?
took obviously clearly took some inspiration from the Bible and kind of turned that into his own story. Like, oh, basically what we're doing right now. What if this is the
Yeah.
case? Honestly, I think they got so pissed off because either A, he fucking nailed it, so the Vatican got pissed that the Holy Grail literally is the bloodline of Christ, and Christ was just a normal human, and he has a bloodline because that's basically what the premise of the book is.
Yeah.
And he either nailed it like that, or they got so pissed that someone was even, oh, you can't even go against what we say, like, and just have those people programmed into believing all their bullshit.
And what's funny about that is if they believe what they preach and they believe the religion that they taught and they live and how God gave us free will and to make our own choices and do all these things, and you know for a fact that you either go to heaven or hell by what you choose and do in your life, why are they so worried about people not knowing something that may dissuade their decision? It's like, well, God gave us free will. That's up to them to decide. Why are you going to try to control what I'm allowed to differentiate within myself? You know what I mean? And it's like, why does
Yep.
that matter to you? Which goes back to what Nick said when they try to keep power. It's like it almost seems more of a power government type of situation than it does like an actual religious free will decision that they preach within the gospel of God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that's up for the human to decide. If you know that you're going to heaven because of what you believe, whether it's the Ark of the Covenant, the Da Vinci Code, the actual Christianity, religious belief, you're going to heaven. Why do you care what anyone else thinks? They're not the ones that are, you're not going to go to hell because they go to hell. So what does it matter? And that's where it comes into that weird gray area as to why they give a shit so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fucking funny too how the Vatican does have all that Da Vinci shit and what's his name? Galileo, all his shit. Supposedly they have all that
Yep.
stuff in their basement. Kind of like what Nick was talking about. They just put all this historical shit down in their basement.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a,
I,
it's a wonder of what's fucking in there.
that's like I remember I forget what I was watching, and it was sometime like after I was already done graduated from school and all this. But I I don't remember, it was when the History Channel actually showed history shows and not pawn shop
Yeah.
bullshit. But it was something about like the ancient Greeks. I believe it was ancient Greeks. I could be a little fuzzy on some of the details, but they had like learned how to use steam power in
Yeah.
certain things. And obviously when the dark ages came around and everything civilization kind of crumbled, that was something that wasn't discovered again for a long, long time. And yeah, you find out that the church, takes all this shit, and having Galileo's drawings and stuff like that, his notes and everything that he was working on, they kept him under house arrest. And it's like he was still doing shit while he was under house arrest, and they were just making sure that everything he did, they just used for their own thing.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah,
crazy
and
to think how much power they fucking have, dude.
Mhm.
yeah,
It's just yeah.
not even get into like real world political stuff, but like why are they the only organization that doesn't get taxed? You know what I mean? If you believe the religious stuff that comes with all of this, like and helping your other man and all this stuff, wouldn't you want to be an organization that pays into stuff that helps everybody else in their benefit? Why are they excluded? You know, it's like it's almost like even more power of like we've got the most money, we have the control, we have the people, we have their faith, like all these different things, and it turns into this weird dark conspiracy
Mhm.
of who has what, who believes what, who's in control of what information you have, and it just you can go on and on about it.
They make it so easy to weave your own like tale of BS and
Yeah.
stuff. They make it so easy.
It's crazy, yeah, because literally you can go off and make 25 different conspiracies with ease off of
Yeah.
what they do
Mhm.
and who they're connected with and all that shit.
Like, why is every person that comes up with a religion that's not a real religion called a cult, but all the religions that have been steeped in history are religion? What's the difference?
Yep.
There is no
Nothing.
difference. You're listening to one person preach something, but because that's considered fake and not true, it's a cult, not a religion.
Yeah.
Heretics.
I agree. I mean, that's why I mean, you guys both know this. I am fully under the belief that the gods that are in every civilization that we have recorded were just aliens or people, different entities from either out of space or wherever the fuck.
Yeah.
And like I said, like the Bible's been translated fucking from Hebrew to Latin to fucking, I mean, every fucking language probably ever. And who's to say, like, did they have the word aliens back then? Or was it just gods? If they were, especially if it was angels, gods, like, could that just, turn into a religion? Like, oh, it's one God. He sent us, his son, his only son, or whatever. Like, could that literally be a story of an alien impregnating a woman?
Could be.
I mean, think about it. I mean, where does the depictions of God come from? The clouds, the heavens, up above
Exactly.
us. You know, I
And
mean,
There's a
that could have
great,
just been misconstrued.
yeah, there's
and you see,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like the beginning of the Bible, when you read Genesis, it talks about these giants that roam the earth.
Yeah.
That would have sex with humans, and then the fallen angels that would come down and do the same thing, then impregnate humans, and that's what in the Bible again says that brought about the first great flood was all this like intermingling of different species and all that stuff. And it's like, so it's
And
very
it's
possible.
within almost every religion. I mean, Greek has that too. Fucking Hercules is literally the same case.
Yep.
Zeus is getting a little too frisky with some normal people. I mean, I think that's the most logical thing. Is it's just our translation from language to language kind of muddies up that little specific area, and it just means a different thing. I don't know, man. I just think there's more evidence to it being aliens than anything else. Because outside of like Christianity, and Christianity still falls in line with like most religions fall in line with each other. If you really overlap them, like most of them fall in line with each other, which is fucking weird. That everybody,
It's almost like making a remake of another movie. It's the same fucking movie with its own tweaks.
It's like you're Jewish, you're Christian, you don't like each other, but you literally believe the same thing besides like a couple minor details.
And how you go about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. It's just very interesting to me.
It is, and how we adopt certain things in society, it makes no sense. I mean, religion as a whole is just weird. You know, anything is considered that goes against the Bible or anything with Christianity considered, bad, but we still do things like Easter and all these like weird, stupid things, or like, Christmas, which is considered technically a pagan thing, we still celebrate it. But there's people out there like, I'm a Christian. Will you celebrate Christmas? Well, yes, I do. It's the the birthday of Jesus and this and that. It's like, well, it's a pagan holiday. And they're like, it's like, oh, okay. So you're picking what you choose to want to do.
The sad reality is most of them don't know that.
No, they
You
don't.
grow up like we weren't Catholic, we were Christian. We went to church when I was little. I grew up, I mean, totally believing that Christmas was just, the birth of Christ. Like that's what we were celebrating. For some reason, we were getting gifts. Whatever, it turned into a whole nother thing. And as you grow up and you start learning shit, it's like, well, that really didn't have the whole story growing up at all. Like, just told a minor detail and just kind of left out everything else.
Yeah, it diminishes and stuff for you as you get older and learn, and that's
Yeah.
like something too that. And the one thing that gets me is like I got family members who are really religious in their church, and now this ain't a knock or anything against gay people or anything. And I mean, I know none of us have no problems with that. We're not saying making a decision as one way or the other, but the fact that their form of Christianity or Catholicism accepts gays now.
Yeah.
And it's weird. And it gives you, again, throws you for a pause where it's like there's so many similarities between these religions and stuff. And it kind of goes back to the power thing where it's like, well, now they're just evolving their religion and their beliefs
To
to
fit the
start
time
sucking up more
period.
people, to get more people under that umbrella.
Yeah.
And it's just it's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
literally adapting their religion to the time period.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and I always find it interesting too, when I tell people when they ask if I'm religious, and I went to Catholic school from kindergarten up until 6th grade, and I went through the ringer with that and had more than enough information to make a choice for myself on like what I believed and like what was true and just how crazy it was and all that. And I always tell people when they're like, I'm atheist, and they're like, what? And I'm like, I just don't believe in shit until I see it, and if I burn, I burn. If I'm wrong, it is what it is, I don't care, because I'm not going to sacrifice my life for an afterlife that isn't guaranteed. You know what I mean? And you know, I listened to a comedian, Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais. I don't know if you
Yeah.
obviously guys you know who he is. He's
Never heard
he's
of
a
him.
very open atheist. And but he always has like intellectual conversations with people about it. He's not just an arrogant atheist. He like actually likes to talk to people. And he was talking to someone when and they were like, well, Christianity, God is God. It comes from Christianity. And he's like, well, I'm an atheist. I don't believe that there is anything. He goes, how is that any different from, he goes, there's all these religions in the believe any of them except yours. How is that any different from me believing that there's none? You're telling me that all those are fake and this is it. I'm telling you there's none. How is that any different? It's the same thing. You're denouncing all of this other shit and believing what you believe. He goes, so you're telling me I'm wrong and you're not when you're doing the same damn thing I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like so common sense when you think about that. It's like the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I always thought since I was little. My mom would read me like Bible stories. She had this little children's Bible, like bedtime Bible stories she'd read me. And I just always remember asking her, like, well, where did God come from? And then learning that there's other religions. And I'm like, so how do we know this is the right religion, though? And if it's not the right religion, we're going to burn in hell? It's like, that seems a little unfair. I mean,
But he loves
humans
you.
are fallible. Like, you could get somebody to believe a lot of stupid shit, and that person might be genuine and believing it and not knowing you're pulling the wool over their eyes. And it's like, you're going to punish that person for that? Like, a lot of weird shit.
Doesn't sound very godlike.
No.
No, I mean, I got when I was deployed in the army, I got to when I was in Jordan, I got to actually go to the Jordan River, where Christ was baptized supposedly. And I actually got baptized there, if you want to call it that. They actually sat there with the chaplain from the military. He baptized me in the river the whole bit. And I did it mainly because I wanted to see if I felt a difference. I wanted to give it a chance to really like see what that happened. I have the certificate and everything. I can prove it if anyone ever wants to see it.
I want to see your credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see your
I
papers.
I got receipts. I got
No
receipts.
ticket.
Um, and they walked us through everything, all this stuff. They showed us like this is where he did this. This is what happened with this, and then they brought us to the river, and I got baptized in the river and the whole bit. And honestly, like you would think if something like that was like true, if you believe it, if you're not, take it for what it is. You would feel like there was some type of like force around there or some type of feeling or whatever. And afterwards, it was just like I didn't feel a difference. I didn't see a difference. It was just like I don't know. There was just nothing, you know what I mean? And that's like if you were to go see something like the Ark of the Covenant or go to these historical sites. Like I was at one of the main ones. and I just did not see any significance or feel anything from that. And it just, I don't know, like you go to the heart of the beast and you expect something and then nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was just weird. I don't get it. I don't. Like I seriously don't.
I don't either. I honestly. I can't stand when I tell people that I believe in, like, I was gonna say this earlier. There's a book out there a guy wrote. I forget his name, but it's called Chariot of the Gods, and it's about
Oh, that
how
Donikin dude or whatever.
yeah,
Eric Van Donikin.
yeah,
I think it's something like that.
it's a weird name, but I tend to believe, like, not like his exact story, but like that type of theory, like that ancient civilizations just believed that aliens coming down from the sky were gods, and their chariots, like in Greek mythology, it's always, in a chariot coming down. Well, I mean, that could just be their UFO or, their ship coming down.
It was their language at the
And their
describe it.
language is a chariot. It's something that carries you. It's what they use to travel. So why wouldn't it be called? It wouldn't be called a spaceship. They're even
Yeah.
like, So it's interesting. I think the language barrier really, like, that is one of the places, if I could travel back in time, it would definitely be back there just to see what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, it goes exactly along with what you're saying. A lot of people coordinate the word UFO with aliens or spaceships,
Yeah.
but really, by definition, it's unidentified foreign object.
Right.
It could mean anything,
Yep.
but that's just what we use as a term for aliens, like 90% of the time.
Yep.
That's not exactly
Yeah.
what it means.
Right. 100%.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. Get you in a long, deep hole in a bunch of different areas.
Gets the wheels start turning just thinking about stuff.
I'm gonna be honest with you, it'd probably be the second place I would pick to go back in time to. But first would be the building of the pyramids. I gotta know.
Yeah.
I gotta know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would need to know. And what's funny, you talk about going back in time. I actually watched a video about conspiracy theories once, where they were talking, and obviously take it for what you will. I think the guy is a little nuts, but he was like, the government. He was talking about the government not wanting us to know that there's time travel available and this and that, because if we had the ability of time travel, go back and try to see exactly where God was and Jesus to go see that happening. And if we went back in time, we would see that it was all fake because none of that was happening by what we say when it happened, and that we would know that it was a complete farce. And that's why they don't want us to know about time travel, which I was like, it sounds crazy, but like, if that was true, if we did have that capability, I wouldn't see it too far fetched to where they wouldn't allow us to have that ability to use it so that we could see what was true and what was false to what we are taught in history.
Yeah.
From any point in time, going back from Jesus to anything historical to war to whatever significant historical event, you know what I mean? Because they would want us to know, to believe in what was written and not what was seen, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Shit. I go back to the dinosaurs so I can see them velociraptors with the lasers on their heads. That'd be fucking nuts.
Laser raptors?
True technology.
I don't know. It would be crazy if time travel was a real thing.
I gotta know.
that-
What would be your number one place, Adam? It's gotta be some fucking weird ass.
Me, my number.
Yeah.
Well, you asked Nick first. I have to think about it because I've
You
thought
just
about
said
it
you'd go
before.
back to the dinosaurs.
Well, yeah.
Honestly,
curious,
because I'm so against it, I legitimately would go back to see like the biblical stuff to see if Jesus was real. I honestly would do that because that would completely give me the answer of, is there an afterlife? Is there a heaven or hell? Is there something? Who was right, who was wrong? That's honestly what I would do. Like, it would be cool to go back to a historical event to see something happen, to see
All right.
where it was muddied. But I religiously, that's what I would go to.
Just give me quick top three off the top of your head.
All right, for
Three
me,
time periods.
For me, it would be to see if Jesus was real, to see if all that was real. Also to see if Hitler actually killed himself. I
Okay.
would like to see that. And then after that, also the assassination of JFK.
Okay. What about you, Nick? What's your top three, real quick?
Pyramids for sure. That would
Yep.
That's definitely. I mean, we talked about that multiple times. That would definitely be a place. Fuck, I just had the second one too. Shit. I really did. I had two right away to go. I cannot
Dun,
remember I
dun,
literally
dun,
was just
dun.
thinking about it too because I was like, well, I already know the first one, pyramids. I had the second one.
Was it religious?
I don't know if it was really religious. One, no, go back Tepe. That would be a
Gobekli
place I'd like to
Tepe.
see. Was that the
We should
most
talk
recent one
about
that
that.
they've discovered in the last like since the 90s
Adam's
or
like,
something.
what?
It's basically this layout and everything that they found kind of challenges the notion that we were just hunter gatherers about 12,000 something years ago.
Yeah,
There's like a full on like it's not a city like built for people to live in, but it's huge like rituals, like ritualistic structures and
yeah.
stuff like that for religions where they think like
It's
that was going on or there was a transfer of knowledge from maybe an ancient civilization to modern day humans and stuff like that. That was a place I was thinking of
yeah.
that I would definitely love to go back and see.
It's kind of like
And
the
then
rebirth of civilization.
yeah. And
That
then
place.
third, I don't know, I'd really have to think about a good third one, but one just interesting that we like just because we're sitting and talking about it is like Angkor Wat. There's this temple in I think it's Cambodia, the Angkor Wat's in, and it's this fucking ridiculously beautiful temple carved out of stone and shit, like ancient as fuck. But there's depictions of dinosaurs carved into this stone when dinosaurs shouldn't have been around at that time. So that's something where it's like I wouldn't mind going back and seeing that to see where the hell are you guys getting this idea of dinosaurs from
Right.
when they should have,
Been
from what mainstream
fossilized.
science and told, yeah, and they wouldn't have had the tools to do this excavation on dinosaurs to find the fossils. And even if they did, who knows if they would have the science to know that that bone or whatever is from a dinosaur and stuff
Right.
like that.
And know
And the
how to
fact that they
depict it.
got, yeah, and to depict the whole thing, say they found a couple bones, how would they been able to draw or chisel out these depictions of dinosaurs? That is a place I want to go see in my lifetime as well. But time traveling, that'd be kind of sweet to go back and
Oh,
see.
for sure. That'd be dope as hell.
I actually thinking of that, I would change mine, and instead of Jesus or finding out who the religious icon would be, that would be second. I would get rid of the Hitler scenario, and first I would go back prior to them dating how old the Earth is to see if the Big Bang was really real or if it was truly evolution.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. I
That
don't
would be
believe the Big
interesting.
Bang. Just throwing
I
it
don't
out there.
either.
We
I
don't have
don't
to go
either, but
into it,
that
but
I would be curious to see how it actually happened, how everything happened.
I
Yeah,
also don't believe in evolution to a point.
I believe in adaptation more than anything.
Yeah. Going along
And
with my believing that aliens or some sort of life form came down here, I believe we were starting to evolve from apes and something, came down and was like, oh, these things are fuckable. Boom, boom, bang. Here come fucking humans.
Yeah,
it's not too far fetched. It ain't more ridiculous than a man in the sky that made everything.
No, exactly. It's actually more plausible, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's a physical being instead of a god that lives in the fucking clouds.
Well, not just
yeah.
that, like the rapidness of evolution. Like, I think we looked this up not that long ago. It took us 2 million years to go from cavemen to where we are today. It was
And why
only
having
2 million years ago, but it took us fucking 70 million years to get from apes to humans.
and why have we not gone further since then? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
Well, you never know, dude. This whole transhumanism thing that's going on with Neuralink and trying to hook people up to robots, that could be the next step of evolution for humans.
yeah.
Because
Well,
there's obviously some kind of weird need for humans to always want machinery and computers and stuff like this. And I mean, you think about it, it's like Elon Musk said in that interview with Joe Rogan, we already are partially robots. We got a goddamn fucking computer
Mm-hmm.
in our hands or in our pocket at all times that you just constantly interface with to find whatever you need. So the next step would be something like Neuralink and stuff like that, where you're physically changing into a cyborg, then not just a attachment, but something that actually gets implanted in you. So I mean, who's to say that that could be the next step of evolution?
not to mention there's also, and I know some people might laugh at this when you say it just because of the word, but There's been speculation that people who have retardation because of the extra things they have in their system, extra chromosomes and stuff like that, they've also speculated that the human race isn't ready for what that is yet, as to why people who have that in their system that causes retardation, or as a society that we use that as a term, that we aren't evolved enough yet to handle that within ourselves, DNA, whatever you have it. And that's why those people are considered slow or whatever. But really, that people have said that that's like the next step. We just haven't been able to grasp onto it and evolve as a species with that yet. Because those are the only people that have that within their system as a genetic code that are different from us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Also
I've watched
interesting, like
I've watched a couple things of that.
you see, like just as an example, like people with autism, like how there's something in the brain that makes them fucking phenomenal at one specific thing.
Mhm.
And it seems like a lot of them, like my cousin Sean, perfect example, like computers, like somehow that fucking kid just can sit down at a computer and fucking hack into, he literally has hacked Disney's servers. At 14 years old, he hacked Disney servers. It's just like, how? Like, his parents didn't teach him any of that shit. He
No.
just did it. You know, it's crazy how the brain works.
Yeah, and I think if like society or scientists were able to focus on something instead of like curing or preventing something like retardation or those different things that affect people like that, autism, whatever, what have you, if we focused on like figuring out how to like adapt to that, there might be some change within, humans as a whole.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely be interesting.
also, I feel like, I'm not going to say it's a government because then it starts sounding like a conspiracy, but we're just programmed to get dumber, and not even dumber, but like we just are programmed to become more complacent. Yeah, I guess that's the right word. Complacent. Like the conveniency of just looking shit up on your phone instead of like figuring stuff out for yourself. Or like me and Nick have talked about this thousands of times. Like people like Nikola Tesla, how the fuck did that guy create like sustainable energy from the earth itself back in the fucking 40s, but somehow we just haven't been able to do it? And like the easy answer is, well, yeah, we go to war over stuff to create energy. Would be no need to go to war if we could literally do Tesla shit around the world and everybody have free sustainable energy.
Yep.
I mean, what would be the need to go to? We wouldn't need to go fight for oil. You know, water. You could probably use water and clean it a lot easier if you had free sustainable energy. Like a lot of the fucking world's issues would be solved by that one thing.
You know, we could thank J.P. Morgan for that. That's not a
Yeah,
conspiracy. He
that's not.
literally tried to hide all that shit so that way, yeah, he
And
could
that
just make a ton of money off
And
it. So.
conveniently didn't get on the Titanic.
Yeah, and that's what we always talk about when we talk about history and stuff like this, going into all those different topics. It comes down to the human condition, greed and power.
Yep.
You can't profit off of everyone having the same thing and being a sustainable society. People
Yep.
want to be above somebody else, and
Yep.
that's the problem that we always come into, whether it comes to religion, like we've talked about, whether it comes to sustainable energy, whether it comes to anything. It always comes down to someone wanting the upper hand and the power over everybody else.
Yep.
Otherwise, we would. I mean, you look at movies from back in the 80s and 70s when they talk about, this current decade or the early 2000s, and they've depicted us being so much further ahead than we are. And then you laugh and you're like, we're so far from
Where's the
that right
flying
now.
cars?
Yeah, like where's the flying cars? Where's the electric cars? I mean, we've only got half electric cars right now because they're allowing it because you still buy oil and gas, and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it's a joke where history sends us and where we should be, that people thought we would be at right now. And no, we're not at that. We're not at that. And you look at even something like now going on in the world, like we haven't been able to cure cancer with science and all this stuff, but we can come up with a COVID vaccine in record time. And then someone back, like you said, Cody, creates sustainable energy from the earth, but we can't cure something like, like it blows my mind.
Well, supposedly
It's nuts.
cancer was cured once.
Supposedly.
The guy died in a plane accident.
Yeah.
They do get stem cells that do help with that. They do cure it. But yeah, as for an overall cure all the time, that work every time, because I know stem cells doesn't work. It's very effective, but not 100% of the time it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's very interesting. I mean, everything from and it's interesting how this conversation started. We started from a religious backdrop all the way
It's all
back in the
connected
day.
though.
And that's what
It's
I'm
all
saying.
connected.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It flowed strict. We literally went through the entire process of like all the conspiracy and hidden in power from the beginning, all the way to how it ramps up right to today. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
It's the same shit.
And just to kind of speak on the whole conspiracy thing too, it is weird because when you talk to people and you bring up the dark ages and how the church took over, controlled knowledge and information and disseminated it the way they did, nobody disagrees. Nobody disagrees.
Yeah.
But then when you talk about that same kind of thing possibly happening today, people call you conspiracy theorist or a nut job or something. It's like you're telling me you don't think they refined that process from that time to now to make it more
Yeah.
advanced? You're telling me they just didn't?
If we're being honest about it, I mean, Hitler tried it.
Yeah,
It wasn't that long ago.
no, wildly successful. So much successful, so much that modern countries like the US and China have taken those propaganda techniques and advanced them themselves,
Mm-hmm.
refined those procedures and techniques.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's
So
what,
just something for people to think about.
like you said earlier, Adam, I didn't give you guys my top 3, but I think the number 3 place I would go would be Hitler's breaking point, when he decided he was going to do what he did. When he decided he was going to start taking over other countries and if it was, and finding out if it was him singularly alone or if it was a grand plan, because there's a lot of theories out there that, you know, the whole New World Order thing, if you believe into that stuff, that there was 2 forms of fascism that were put into place, and it was them in Italy. You know, they just happened to be allies during that situation, and which would be more effective. And obviously Hitler's was, and obviously that's the one you see used over and over again. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, you can definitely see that play out, especially when you read about how, like, our intelligence services helped Mao in China because they kind of wanted to see how communism would kind of go
Yeah.
in a rural country like China, not nearly as technologically advanced as like any other country, and they kind of backed it just to kind of see how it would go. You could definitely see those type
Yeah.
of experiments for sure, like going on.
It's just sad we haven't evolved to the point where we don't need government.
It
Like,
is
we
very
literally
sad.
don't need government.
Humans have been around for
All
thousands of years, and yeah,
all
we still haven't outgrown that.
all I do for government is give them my tax dollars, and then I question like what the fuck they're actually spending it on.
You're still driving over potholes and shit, busting up
Yeah,
your fucking cars.
that literally do nothing for anyone.
Nope. And it goes right back to what we started about when we were talking about Ark of the Covenant and religion. A lot of people say, you know, if religion is a facade and it's fake, then that would mean the government's God. And they're the ones that are preaching and putting that out there to control the masses
I guess
in different
yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Craziness.
It is. It's you can tell that this is one of those topics when you talk about, like, even with the 3 of us, like it's like those somber like fuck me conversations, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. It's really crazy.
I
Um
literally called Nicholas about this kind of exact conversation the other day. And it was more about like how much control the Vatican really does have over, like, even now and when they took power. And they still, for some reason, still just have this power over the world. It's just fucking ridiculous and crazy.
Yep. And those are the same people that have their leader who knows he's going to the Holy Land no matter what because of his power, and he still drives around in bulletproof glass.
Yeah. As I was going to say, my number 1 place was obviously Egypt. My number 3 place would obviously be Hitler, like I just said. But my number 2 place would probably be going back in time, like when the Vatican started taking all that information. Just teleport me to that basement and let me just have a couple days where I can just read.
If you're not found out and killed.
Yeah. If I could just somehow get like 48 hours in there.
You got to go back with an invisibility cloak. That's all you need.
Yeah. I was
Before you're
gonna
crucified.
fuck with you guys and be like, well, my number 3 place would be the Death Star. You know, I want to see how they really constructed that.
I
You get transported right before it blows
Right
up, and you're
before
right next to the
explosion.
reactor. Like, oh fuck, damn it, this isn't what I wanted.
Wrong time, wrong time.
take it back. My number one place would be when Disney was deciding to make the 3 sequel movies I'd want to be so I could rewrite those.
Oh, you do us all a favor.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
So I
like
could
that one.
almost like Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool movie when he went back and killed himself before he picked up the Green Lantern
Yeah.
script. You're welcome, Canada. But all jokes aside, I mean, yeah, it would be interesting to go back in those specific times, and I would love to hear from everyone in the comments or anyone that wants to message in. What would your 3 places be? Like, what would you pick to go back to, like historical significance? In this grand scheme of talking theoretical history and what's true and what's not, and all those different things. That would be very interesting to hear from you guys because yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about. Like if like you went back and say like if I went back and saw that Jesus wasn't real or if it was Muhammad or nobody, you know what I mean, or somebody, like how would you comprehend that? Like would your mind implode? Happy, like, it'd be like not only seeing something, but like how would you comprehend it? How would you process
Yeah.
it?
Could you even believe what you're seeing?
Yeah, could you handle what you were saying
Right.
too?
Like you're God, I keep want to say spectate. Like you're just spectating what's going on in the world. But if you actually saw like Jesus Christ walking around, if you went back in time, like could you even believe it? Or would you still be like, nah, they're fucking with me? You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah,
Like,
this is a
could your
guy in a
brain
beard
even
with dirty
process it?
sandals.
It's just like dinosaurs. Like I swear, like, and I know an article just came out like that. They say, I forget who it was, but they said the science does exist to create a real world Jurassic Park now. Which I still think is
Don't do it.
don't do it, please.
We've seen too many movies. Don't do it.
It's like what's that dude's name when he's like, oh yeah, we didn't learn the first time when they made Jurassic World. I forget the comedian's name. But yeah, like, could you even comprehend if you went back in time to the dinosaur age and you saw like an actual T-Rex? Like everything we've learned about them and could you even comprehend the mass of that fucking animal? Like,
That's like watching like one instance of it. Like, have you ever you guys have seen the movie Interstellar, right?
oh yeah,
Like
I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't seen the whole. I fell asleep the first time I watched it because it was just yeah. But there's some
okay,
other
well,
stuff going on when I was watching at that time, but I passed out.
anyways, like if anyone's seen it, because I won't ruin it for Nick. Like Cody knows what I'm talking about when you get that realization at the end and what he goes into and achieves and everything like that. Like that would be mind bending. Like that
mm-hmm.
would fuck me up forever.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that type of shit. Like I wouldn't be able to comprehend what you would witness in a situation like that.
yeah.
Like it would literally melt my brain.
You could
Just
say
be-
more about it if you want, dude. You don't have to worry about not ruining it. The movie's been out for a while. I plan on rewatching it. So I mean,
He
if you want to
he
elaborate more, you don't have
basically
to like try and dance around. It's
he
cool.
basically when he goes through a black hole finds the like the in between of like space and time and just like and sees basically like how everything it's explained because you have to see it. Like it's so mind bending even within the movie for me to explain. I don't know if Cody can explain it, but it's just like when you see that, like trying to comprehend and like process it in my brain and watching the movie, I was just like, like that's literally how they like explain it. You're just like, like it's nuts. It's nuts. Like even in that movie, like space and time and different things. He goes to a planet and he goes to a planet for 2 hours, but he comes back and it's been 30 years. It's like, can you like wrap your head around those types of concepts?
Time is relevant, dude.
It's nuts. And I feel like that's what it would feel like if you were to go back and see something. Like it would
Yeah.
just I would probably go insane. And I almost feel like some people who are crazy in the world have done something like that or seen something like that, and that's why they're a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
Or as we classify them as a lunatic, but they may not be crazy.
Yeah, because are you gonna come back and tell everyone? Nobody's gonna leave you.
Exactly. Because no one in the realm of society believes these, whether it comes to the Ark of the Covenant, whether it becomes to religion, whether it comes to, anything. It just you have to believe what you believe, and I don't know.
You know what's crazy too? There's an old since we're talking about the Ark of the, we started talking about the Ark of the Covenant. I remember watching a thing on the History Channel, and the guy was just looking at old religious relics and stuff. And there's like a Native American depiction of the Ark of the Covenant, like in Arizona, like carved into a cave and stuff. And he's like, "How do you even like carve this unless you've seen it? You know, like how do they just know what this look? Because it literally does look like what most Ark depictions are. It's like it's not like there was like millions of them just roaming around, especially over here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird.
It is. And who's to believe, who's accredited to say that that happened when that happened, that that's
Right.
actually Native American carvings or just some bullshit
Right.
that they made look realistic?
Big facts.
Never know. Never know. Anything else you guys want to hit on, since we kind of went on an array of everything?
No, we did pretty good there.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
definitely gonna do more of these videos though.
Yeah, because this is a lot of thinking points, and I know in our Discord, which I always preface people need to get into, we've got all these different types of sections in the Discord. Like we're right when we've got a whole space section. I know I want to get into more alien stuff. We're probably going to hit on more stuff with aliens and whatnot, because I know that's what a lot of us believe. All these different political stuff, and yeah, we're going to get more into this because
Space
there's a lot.
Force.
Space Force. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, if that's going to actually broaden our horizons on different things.
Join the Galactic Republic.
But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this on our theoretical history talk on different things from religious background all the way up to current events and everything else. But thank you again for listening. We will be back. I know what do we got going on. Next one's going to be what, baseball, or what do we got?
Yeah, I think we'll get together. Well, not Wednesday because I got some stuff going on, but probably Thursday.
We'll keep you
Get together
posted.
and do some
Yeah,
baseball.
we'll keep you posted, because we're trying to make things more streamlined. So it may not be that day, but we'll keep you posted. But we're gonna have episodes as many days as we can. And yeah, that'll wrap it up for this, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Yeah.